Welcome to another edition, a Monday edition of Bible Time. And we're continuing going through the book of Judges, a very interesting book, very sad book in many ways, but it's a book where we see God at work. We see God making it clear his plans for Israel. There is no king in Israel. They need a king. Eventually, he's going to bring David. But in the process, they have to learn a lot of lessons the hard way. But here in chapters 4 and 5 that we're looking at today, it's a familiar account of Deborah, prophetess, and Barak, the judge, and the victory that God gives to them. But this is a good place for us to highlight something that I've said before regarding the book of Judges, that it's not about these judges. It's not about these individual men. It's about what the Lord is doing. It's the Lord is at the center of the story, and we learn about the Lord. It's all about him. In fact, the chapter starts off, chapter 4, that the people of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord. I mean, they're doing this right in his sight. They are abandoning his word, and they're going their own way. They're doing evil in his sight. And so, verse 2 says that the Lord sold them into the hands of Jabin, king of Canaan. And so God is saying, okay, you're gonna do evil in my sight. Here's what you're gonna have to go through. Well, eventually, verse 3 says that they cried out to the Lord for help, and the Lord provides that help. Look at verse 6, where it says, Deborah, she sent and summoned Barak, the son of Abinoam, from Kadesh Naphtali, and said to him, has not the Lord, the God of Israel, commanded you? Go. And so this is the Lord's idea. This is the Lord providing the deliverer, the judge. This is the Lord paving the way for victory. Verse 7, the Lord says, I will draw out Sisera, the general of Jabin's army, to meet you by the river Kishon with his chariots and his troops, and I will give him into your hand. So that's the thing that they were scared about, is that the Canaanites had this army with chariots, which is like having tanks today. And God says, I'm going to draw them out. I'm going to draw him and all his chariots out. And verse 8, verse 9, it says that that Deborah will go with them, but he says that the Lord will sell Sisera into the hand of woman. The Lord is going to do something. The Lord is going to draw them out. He's going to give them into the hand of Barak. And he is going to sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. The Lord is planning, executing this whole thing. Verse 14, on that day it says, Deborah said to Barak, up, for this is the day in which the Lord has given Sisera into your hand. Does not the Lord go out before you? This is what it's all about. The Lord has given the command, and the Lord is going to be with him. The Lord is going to win the victory. And it says in verse 15, the Lord routed Sisera and all his chariots and all his army before Barak by the edge of the sword. And so there it is. The hero of the story is the Lord, not Barak, not Deborah. It's all about what the Lord would do. And it's interesting when you read chapter 5, you understand how the Lord did that. It tells us there, if you look at verses 4 and then verse 21, the indication there is that the Lord sent rain, and the Kishon overflowed, and that made the chariots useless. I mean, they got stuck in the mud. And so Barak and his men were able to defeat them. And what's interesting about that? Well, the Canaanites had a god. Their god's Baal. Baal is the god of the storms. Well, God sent a storm. God sent the rain, and that messed up the Canaanites, and God got the victory through the Israelites that day. That's just something that you got to stand up and take a look at, because this is the Lord working, and he's directly working against the false idols of the people. And then you know how the story ends with Sisera. I mean, God literally nailed down the victory there with Jael taking a tent peg and hammering it through Sisera's head. That's how the Lord won the victory. That's how God subdued as it says in verse 23. So that day God subdued Jabin, the king of Canaan. That's how he did it. And then chapter 5 is a great song, the song of Deborah and Barak, the song of victory, a song of praise to the Lord for all that he has done. And so you see the Lord is at work here. And we have the same Lord today that Deborah and Barak had then. He is at work today. He is accomplishing his purposes today. You and I, just like Deborah and Barak that day, we just need to trust him and obey him and watch him get the victory, watch him, in our case, maybe build the church, and then we sing songs of praise to him. What a great example this is, what a great encouragement this is to us, that it's not about us, it's all about the Lord and what he has done, what he is doing. And the fact that he uses people of all kinds that to accomplish his purposes. And tomorrow we're going to see even more of that when we look at one of the most well-known judges, the Judge Gideon. So I hope to see you tomorrow for more Bible Time.